Hello, Professor Poyser here, and I want to work out a quick problem for solving a quadratic equation using the quadratic formula. I'll show you how this works. First of all, I hope you realize that this is an equation because of the equal sign, and it's not just an equation but a quadratic equation because the largest exponent is a 2. So to use this quadratic formula, I should probably write that down for you, and it's a good thing for you to memorize. It's the formula is x is equal to negative b, or sometimes that's read as the opposite of b, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So this formula here, the quadratic formula, uses a, b, and c. So back to our quadratic equation, we need to know what a, b, and c are. Well, to do that, this equation should really be set equal to 0. So I tell you what, let's bring that 7 over to the other side first, which then makes the equation 2y squared minus 3y minus 7 equals 0. Okay, so now that we have it in that form there, we can easily see that a is 2, b is negative 3, and c is negative 7. All I'm doing here is I'm just picking off the coefficients for each of these terms there, right? The a is the coefficient of the square term. The b is the coefficient of the variable, just y or x, that's all by itself. And the c is the constant term that's on the same side. All right, so now that I have my players a, b, and c, it's now a matter of just plugging them into our quadratic formula. Here goes. So I have x is equal to, and the way I read this is, give me the opposite of b. So since our b is negative 3, the opposite would be a positive 3. Plus or minus b squared. All right, b squared, that's just negative 3 times itself, which is 9, minus 4 times a couple of numbers. What are those numbers? Those numbers are a and c, so it's 2 and negative 7. And now I'm going to draw a big old fraction bar there, and on the bottom is 2 times a, and again our a is 2, so our denominator is just simply a 4. Hope you see that. Well, what I would work out first in this formula is this. Let's start inside of that radical sign. Let's start inside that big old square root, because if all of this stuff turns into a negative number, we can automatically stop, because a negative number inside of a square root is not real. That kicks into the imaginary, which we're not doing in Mat 099. So let's see, I guess I would do the multiplication first, right? Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally means to multiply this 4 times that 2, which is 8, and 8 times that negative 7 is a negative 56. Write that down right there, and don't forget my denominator is 2 times 2, which is 4. Okay, well this is 9 minus a negative 56, which is really the same thing as saying 9 plus 56, and 9 plus 56 is a 65. So we're almost done. What I have then is 3 plus or minus square root of 65 all over 4. Now I know that I cannot simplify 65 anymore, because if I try to break it down, if I try to factor it, you'll see that it's just 5 times 13. No identical pairs there that I could pull out of that square root. So I know that radical 65 or square root 65 is as simple as I can get it. Now on my math lab, if you're doing this homework assignment on my math lab, let me just scoot this down so you can see a little bit better. There is no plus or minus button, so we have to enter in this answer on my math lab inside the box that they give us in 2 ways. So the first way is going to be 3 plus the square root of 65 all over 4, comma, and then 3 minus the square root of 65 all over 4. That's what you're going to enter in on my math lab as your 2 answers, because there is no plus or minus button. We have to write it twice, separated by a comma. So on my math lab, I would start with the fraction button first, enter this in the numerator, put the 4 in the bottom, get out of that fraction, put the comma, and then continue there. Put another fraction, 3 minus square root of 65 all over 4, and there's your answer to that problem. Hope that helps.